Story 1. I've posted this before, but what the hey? In high school at the library, I bumped my hand against my friend's crush's erection, paused, grabbed it, squeezed and said, "What the heck do you have in your pocket?" I wasn't playing dumb. I was just dumb. I could not look him in the eye for weeks. Story 2. Had her over for a movie, sitting on the couch next to each other. And 10 minutes in, she comes a little closer and said, "I've already seen this movie." I simply said back, "Oh, I haven't." She slides back, and it was somewhat awkward for the rest of the movie. It didn't work out afterward, laughing out loud. Story 3. It was graduation, and I was talking to her while the valedictorian was giving his speech. She remarked that he is going to be great as a physicist after college. My stupid remark was, "Why would someone as smart as him want to be a gym teacher?" Backstory. My high school days were spent skateboarding, playing Magic, The Gathering, and watching MTV. I did go to college and get smarter, but 25 years later, I still regret saying that. Story 4. I walked up to him while he was sitting at a table with 3 other people, sat down and said, "I've decided that you are my boyfriend." There was an awkward silence. We then politely debated for a few minutes about how he wasn't my boyfriend, except I was insistent that he was. Meanwhile, the onlookers were flabbergasted. I was 14, he was 16. It turns out he was secretly dating his best friend's ex-girlfriend. That secret didn't come out until months later. Fast forward a few years, and he tells me, "I should have dated you." Story 5. For me, it was when I fell right in front of him while holding a bag of popcorn, and then while lying on the floor, I asked him, "Do you want some?" Story 6. We were going surfing. It was the first time I was going. On the way there, it started raining a bit, and I asked if it was still okay to surf in the rain. He looked at me a bit confused. So, I asked if our feet would slip from the board if it's raining. I think I figured it out before his brain could find a nice way to ask if I was an idiot. Even when he asked me out to be his girlfriend, I said, "Up to you." That also stunned him into silence. There are so many instances I must have said truly airhead things to him. Anyhow, he still married me, laughing out loud. Story 7. This man said, "You deserve better." I said, "I don't want better, I want you." Ugh, I am cringing. Laugh out loud. Story 8. I once told my crush they had beautiful eyes, but then I added, "Wait, let me put my glasses on." Smooth, right? Story 9. Grade 8 crush. We were texting, and she said her friend did her makeup, and she thought she looked inappropriate. Upon seeing her, I agreed she looked inappropriate. She never texted me again. Story 10. A bit of the reverse because my fiancé said these things to me, but they're too good not to share. I had put his hand on my chest and he looked at me and was like, "So, how's your day?" And then I was telling him that I got this nice new bedding and sheets, and that they were so soft and he should see them and test them out with me. He said, "Nah, I don't really know much about fabrics." Story 11. Talking about nicknames, she gets visibly uncomfortable and reminds me she was homeschooled. I said, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Your nickname would have been something bad like Smelly Kelly," not her real name. To reassure her that it wasn't a big deal. It was just the easiest name, and it's my opinion that kids are cruel because I got bullied a lot. A week later, she asked me why I said that because Smelly Kelly is actually what her sisters called her because she was the oldest and hit puberty first. That was the last time we would ever just hang out. A lot happened, but she never wanted to talk in person again. Story 12. I was about to leave town to go to college, and I wound up alone with the girl I had a crush on for months. We were lightly flirting all night. I worked up the courage and said to her, "The last thing I want to do before I leave is kiss you." She interpreted that as meaning that I didn't want to kiss her, like that was the last thing I'd want. It hurt her feelings, and there was no way to convince her that I meant the opposite of that. Story 13. When I was younger, I read a Garfield comic. In one strip, it mentioned in my native language that this one word means, "I like you." However, the word actually meant fat. So, I walked over to my crush, confidently said, "Ploso o Tiahana," which translates to "Fatso, You were lovely. So, I essentially called my crush fat. Nice. Story 14. Oh man, during an awkward silence, I once blurted out to my crush, "Did you know sneezes travel at about 100 miles per hour? Fascinating, right?" She just stared at me, and I realized my attempt to break the ice ended up freezing the moment. We never really talked much after that science fact disaster. Story 15. Asked my crush if they were Wi-Fi because I was feeling a strong connection. Cue the awkward silence. Story 16. Back in high school, we had a new Korean student join our class. He was tall, wore black glasses, and was a hit with the girls. I remember one time he asked me for my name, and it made me really happy because it seemed like he was genuinely interested. So I proudly told him, "My name? Oh, it's insert name here. But you can call me Lee Sang-eun because I had looked up that it was the Korean translation of my name." Looking back, I was just a clueless 12-year-old at the time. Now I'm 26 and still cringe thinking about his blank stare after I said that. Needless to say, I was too embarrassed to ever speak to him again. Story 17. How does it look? While she was fixing her hair, to which I responded, "I don't know. I'm not a girl." Freaking heck, mate. Story 18. I was talking to this Japanese guy recently. I mentioned to him that I wanted to visit Mount Fuji, and he responded by saying it's beautiful. But because I was a bit drunk, I just sort of blurted out, "So what you're saying is that you're Mount Fuji?" He was very confused and went, "How am I like Mount Fuji? I'm not fat." Then I had to explain that I meant he was beautiful like Mount Fuji, which made me cringe so badly because who says that? God, that was awkward. He sort of went, "Oh, thank you, but I'm a guy." After that. Now though, we do this funny sort of thing where instead of calling something pretty, we go, "Oh my god, this dress is so Mount Fuji, so I guess there's that." Now we both look like weirdos in public. Story 19. She was talking about how she resembles her mother a lot, and I, trying to be subtle, said, "Your mom is pretty attractive. I would find her appealing." However, I just received a weird look. It was one of those ideas that seemed better in my head. But when she looked at me as if I was crazy, I kind of froze up and couldn't recover from that situation. Story 20. I went on a date with this guy once, having had a major crush on him for a while. We went back to his place afterward and ended up having sex. He looked at me during it and said, "You love my cock, don't you?" All seductive-like. I stared at him and said, "I guess so." That threw the whole vibe off, but so did him saying that. Story 21. We had entered that stage of rekindling friendship with him. So when he came to my house, it turned intimate with just kissing involved. I had been cleaning all day and hadn't shaved in areas I might have otherwise. As a result, when he suggested we pleasure ourselves together, I declined, mentioning I wouldn't do such an act while sober. What I meant was that I wouldn't have the courage to do so, but he misunderstood my point. Story 22. An incredibly long and cringeworthy proclamation of my love was sent via text while she was with her boyfriend and a bunch of other people hanging out. A hangout to which I wasn't invited. Story 23. In high school, a girl in my physics class was telling me how she was terrible at physics and could use some help. To which 15-year-old me replied, "I'm just about as good at physics as you are." Story 24. Hey, so I see we share the same class. That's cool. Wait, why did I say that? Wait, why am I saying this? Now she's looking at me weird. Yes, I did say all that. Let's just say word got around school, and now all the girls and guys avoid me. Story 25. A crush asked me if I had ever bowled before, and I responded, yeah, I've been to an 8-year-old's birthday party. Story 26. Not knowing what it meant, I told my crush that I had roast beef. I thought I was just talking about the color brownish because I am mixed. Nope, not at all. He eventually explained it to me, and now we have been together for over a year. Story 27. On our first date, I took my crush to see the horror movie Us. I tried to be coy and hold her hand during a scary moment to be reassuring. Instead, I timed it out poorly and grabbed her hand during the quietest, least scary scene possible and robotically asked her, "Are you okay?" with a death grip on her poor hand. We've been together for 5 years now and got engaged last Christmas. Thank goodness, because honestly, I have no idea how to talk to women properly and am just amazed she likes me. Story 28. I said, I have feelings for her. After saying that, I started crying automatically. I don't know why it happened. Story 29. This guy I know said this. We were on a double date with this guy, the girl he liked, me, and the girl I liked. He turns to his girl and says, "So, I hear you like me." The girls and I laughed pretty hard. Story 30. See you in chemistry. I don't have chemistry. Who are you? But there's chemistry between us. Yeah. Take one step closer, and I'll throw acid in your eyes. Never again. Story 31. Back in high school, I had a situationship with a cute guy who played in a basketball tournament. I texted him, "Congrats on kicking ass. You were really awesome." I was supposed to say kicking ass, but due to autocorrect, it went wrong. However, we just laughed about it. Story 32. I lost my teddy bear. Can I sleep with you? Believe it or not, that was the first thing I ever said to this girl. But we were teenagers, so I think she found it funny. We're still best friends to this day. Story 33. Senior year in high school, I asked my crush to prom and she said yes. We had a good time and continued to talk and hang out, usually in a large group, in the months after prom. I was 18 years old, a virgin, and about to head off to college in a week. We were drinking, and I was really drunk, so I basically did what Seth did in Superbad. While heavily slurring my words, I said, "You are so pretty. Please take my virginity. I do not want to go to college a virgin. Please have sex with me." She said, "I had a feeling you were interested in me like that, but I am sorry that is never going to happen." She then kissed me on the cheek and then left the party. Never really saw her again after that. Story 34. Freshman year of high school, I walked right up to my crush and pulled his headphones out of his ear to say hi. He got mad and said never to do that to anyone, and he hated me after that. Story 35. I was like, "Are you a broom? Because you've swept me off my feet." Laughing my off, and that burst of laughter, embarrassed as can be. Story 36. Yes, I remember how to get there. I had the biggest crush on this girl during my senior year of high school. She didn't have a boyfriend, but was the prettiest girl in school. I asked her to go to prom with me, and she agreed. I was thinking, hell yes, this is my chance. I'm going to make her fall for me. I had been to her house for some other event her parents hosted, and I thought I knew how to get there. But she lived way out in the country with no cell phone reception and an address that wouldn't pull up on Google Maps. I had my tux on, and my dad let me drive his fancy car for the first time in my life. I told her I'd pick her up and take her to dinner before prom. I got lost on my way to pick her up. Never found her house. Her mom had to drive her to dinner. We were both late. It really killed any momentum I had. One of the most thoroughly embarrassing moments of my life. Story 37. I quoted the line from Dumb and Dumber. "What are the chances of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?" She stopped talking to me. Oh well. Story 38. She was worried she had lost too much weight all of a sudden. So I picked her up and said, "Nope, you're just as heavy." She just looked at me and said nothing. Story 39. I finally built up the courage to try and talk to her and had a game plan. Compliment her on something she could control. When I saw her, I was so overwhelmed with what to compliment, because she was so beautiful, that I said something like, "Your eyes and hair smell nice," and forgot to say any of it with a smile or any facial expressions. How I said it was super matter of fact, and I'm 200% sure creepy. My friends don't let me live that one down, even today, 15 years later, laughing out loud. Story 40, he was talking about cars, and he was talking about a car from 1969, and I said, "Oh, 69 is the best." And I was making a joke, but he thought I actually knew about cars after I said that. He just kept going on and on about this car, and I had to pretend to know what I was talking about. Story 41. My crush found out about it, not from me, while both of us were in class together. I got so embarrassed that I ran out of class. At home, I texted her, "I'm sorry you found out that way. I never wanted you to find out." Looking back, I think what was stupid was that the cat's out of the bag already. I think I should have just properly confessed my feelings. I feel I would have felt better, regardless if she returned the feeling or not, if I had properly gotten it off my chest. Story 42. If you've ever seen Has Been Hotel, you know when Serpentius is trying to subtly flirt with Cherry Bomb by offering her a drink. But then to hide the fact he's flirting when she asks him why, he goes, "Because I'm buying drinks for everyone." Yeah, pretty much that, but with gum in class. Basically, I offered him gum as an excuse to talk to him. Got a weird look like, "What? Why?" So I turned red, got embarrassed, was like, "Oh, sorry, never mind." Then kinda just awkwardly moved on to the person next to him like, "Would you like some gum?" And kinda went around to a few people offering gum to hide my shame. Story 43. Of all the chicks I'm hooking up with, you're the one I really care about and want to be with. It went about as poorly as you can imagine. I was 20 and actually meant it sincerely. Story 44. I managed to keep spoken language somewhat under control, but my body language can get pretty strange. For example, looming over her and grinning maniacally. I can tell by her recoiling response that this isn't good, and have managed to stop doing this now.